Tech Talk Tuesday with George Rosenthal of ThrottleNet. ThrottleNet.com.
My brain paused there for a minute, George, because I knew I had to press the sounder to bring you in officially to the show. George Rosenthal, how are you this afternoon?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me again. I really appreciate it. Always never boring in the tech world, is it?
Well, we saw you. I want to mention, I got to see you at the Fish Fry the other night, which was awesome. I wanted to throw you on. We just kind of ran out of time, but I also knew that this segment was coming up, and we always latch on fascinating things to talk about. So let me start with something that's undercovered, and that's the Zuckerberg trial that's underway in California. Yes. You know, because of the news cycle, I always say this, that's probably something that deserves a little bit more attention, you know, considering it's about a very important issue that affects kids. So is there a way to gauge how that's going?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, in my mind, now this is obviously in my mind, there's 12 members of a jury that got to decide this, but in my mind, there's some pretty bad evidence that they were literally writing code to manipulate people to spend more time online. And specifically, there are emails and documents that show they were targeting tweens, and that their goal was to get teenagers, but then, and literally multiple high ups in the company at Meta have documented emails and documents that push, we can't get the teens unless we get the tweens. And this is like coming out of their documentation. The lead attorney started off, the paragraph they started off with is fascinating. It says, he starts off talking to the jury, imagine a slot machine that fits in your pocket. It doesn't require you to read or type. It only requires one physical motion. For a child, every time she swipes, she's gambling, but not for money, for mental stimulation. And that's exactly what we're talking about here.
That is exactly what we're talking about, right?
That's what we're gambling on, is our children's mental stability as young people with mush for brains that haven't even come into their 20s yet, that are going to be formed by this slot machine in their pocket. It's extremely, this is a very important topic, and I'm surprised most aren't talking about this, like you said. I mean, look, the one thing that's protected these social media companies is a law called Section 230, and it's talking about how they are not responsible for the content that's posted on their platform. But what they're trying to prove in court is that they are responsible for the code and design of how the system actually functions. So, right, to give you an example, there is an internal email that came out in 2022 that was sent around that said, we are no longer incentivizing employees for length of time spent on the platform, which means at some point they were incentivizing the company, the internal employees, to come up with methods and algorithms to keep people online swiping longer. So they were actually paid bonuses or whatever the incentive was based on the amount of average time spent and the age of the people spent online, which completely tells me that this was all by design. I mean, obviously, gut instinct will tell you, duh, because they have to sell ads. That's this whole thing is about money and selling ads. But the fact that they're targeting people, well, one of them, Nick Clegg, who is the Meta's global affairs, he's the head of global affairs. He actually said in a document that came out in court, we have age limits which are unenforced. It is difficult to claim we are doing all we can. I mean, wow. This is high up at Meta saying that we have age limits, but we're not enforcing it.
Well, but the problem here is, and what's the ask for the lawsuit? What is the resolution that they're seeking? Because the problem is that the genie is completely out of the bottle here. Jonathan Haidt wrote a great book that came out a while back called The Anxious Generation. I've bought it for some friends to say, look, you know, and what his point is, the mental illness spike that we're seeing with these young people is directly connected with the great rewiring of childhood caused by, you know, the shift of the smartphones. So, you know, the information, the evidence that he brings to the table is not even disputable. But, you know, I'll admit, even as a parent, you want to have communication with your kids. I have a dispute in my own household about what is an appropriate age for an iPhone and things like that. And George, I wish I could say I win some of these battles, but I don't. So I'm really concerned because I know about Jonathan's book and I see some of this stuff out there, but I don't know how you can correct it.
Yeah, Well, I mean, take a look at what Australia is doing. They're taking at least one step to try, and that is blocking anyone under the age of 16 from using these things. The other thing we can do is possibly put time limits that are built into the apps, built into the systems that limit the amount of time so that it's not mindless swiping back and forth, looking for that mental stimulation that ends up leading to everything from depression and then goes on to everything like this plaintiff is claiming that she had body dysmorphia because she didn't have any friends because she got depressed because she spent all of her time swiping on social media and looking at everybody else's great lives. So I get the other side of the argument too, and that is the parents got to step in.
Yes. At
some point, the parents got to say, look, enough is enough. We can't rely on big multi-$100 billion companies to raise my kid.
Yes.
And that is the big part. That is a very big part. But I think there's also some responsibility when you see the youth of the country being torn apart in ways that no one's ever seen before. Like this has never been like this ever before. So it's definitely fascinating. I am very surprised this is not being covered more in the news on a day-to-day basis based on what this will affect. I mean, if the jury comes back and sides with the plaintiff, there are 1,600 similar lawsuits out there. So this would set a precedent to completely change social media all the way around. Wow. And don't forget, TikTok and Snapchat have already settled at some sort of amount that hasn't been disclosed.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. George Rosenthal is here. It's Tech Talk Tuesdays on 97.1 FM Talk. All right. So one of your notes to Fred included a reference to something called the 10,000-year Pyrex hard drive from Microsoft. What the heck is that all about?
Yes, this is so cool. This is, a hard drive obviously is a spinning disk, spinning thousands and thousands of times. It requires electricity. They get worn out. You have moving parts. A hard drive can crash and so forth. Microsoft has been working on this for a long time. It's been called Project Silica. And it's a way to think about a drink coaster on your coffee table. It's about that size, about the size of a drink coaster. And it's glass that's just like Pyrex in your kitchen cabinet. Yeah. The Pyrex dishes you have. Very, very same stuff, but in a little bit different. About the size of a coaster. And it's using I can't remember I have to pronounce this, quadrillions of a second pulses that are creating three-dimensional structures bedded within the actual fibers of the glass. So you're permanently printing data inside this glass that cannot be destroyed.
Okay, but wait a second. The other thing you said is it requires no electricity?
It doesn't. So once it's burned into the glass, the data is there forever. And they have baked this. They've boiled it. They've tried to crush it. They have run steel wool over it and scratched the surface of it, and it still does not change the data or the ability to read the data. It's absolutely unbelievably fascinating. This is what they're calling this is the Library of Alexandretta, whatever, I can't pronounce that, to outlast civilizations. Essentially, this glass hard drive can last 10,000 plus years because the data is permanently stored inside the actual molecular structure of the glass.
Okay, what is the? This will be a stupid question, but
I'm thinking.
What is the practical application then for that?
Like, you're a spy.
Is that something that I use as a consumer or businesses use, or what is that then?
Oh, absolutely. So imagine, let's take it down to just a regular household, and you want to keep your family pictures in your family for the next 5, 6, 10 generations. This is a way to put all of your family pictures, family history onto one piece of glass the size of a coaster. It'll hold 7 terabytes of data. And keep this on a shelf. And also, it cannot be affected by any electromagnetic pulse. If there's any type of electromagnetic field, doesn't matter. A regular hard drive, if you hold a magnet up to it, it can be destroyed.
Yeah. Okay, but here's the most important question here. Can you cook a casserole in it, though?
Sounds like you
can. I was waiting for that with the Pyrex. Yeah, that's right.
All right, we got other issues, though. George Rosenthal, Tech Talk Tuesdays. We never have enough time, so I want to get through some of this stuff. The first all AI malware has been discovered using Gemini. Is this a good thing?
Oh, no.
No, this is a terrifying thing, actually. This one only affects Android phones right now. So if you have an Android phone, do not download any banking app that has Morgan ARG in it. Right now, this is very big in Austria. It's very big in Australia. It's making its way around the globe. And what this is instead of a hacker writing a code that makes you click a button, this is malware that can get onto your phone, your Android device, of any brand, by the way, Samsung, Pixel, Motorola, it doesn't matter, gets onto the OS, and it looks at the screen of your OS, how all of your apps are organized, everything about your phone. Then it uses Gemini and asks Gemini, which is Google's artificial intelligence, it asks it how it can hide itself. And Gemini tells it in nanoseconds how to hide itself, giving it step-by-step instructions, and then basically pins itself to the recent apps so you can't swipe it away or close it. It's essentially unstoppable. And it is literally, I mean, we used to have to worry about hackers writing code. Now we got to worry about hackers prompting artificial intelligence to let the AI do all the work for them.
Oh, my God.
I know, right?
Every
week here.
Virus. I know, I hate to do that, but it's so true. This is the first virus that basically has its own brain and can adapt to your phone as you change your phone in real time.
Awesome. That's great news.
Prompt.
Yeah, wonderful.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something to wrap up a little bit more fun. Sue had a great story in Sue's News earlier this afternoon, and I'm going to have her kind of recap it here. We even have some audio.
Yeah, George, it's Coco Delivery. It's that robot delivery in L.A., and they put food in this little robot and send it to houses within 2 miles. Well, this woman ordered some food, got it out, and then the robot went rogue, ran through her garden, took part of the fence, and started rolling.
Cocos have been relentless. I heard a commotion. I came out here. I found the Coco in my garden. It had got my fence caught up in its wheel. It uprooted a whole bunch of plants in my garden and then just drove away with the fence attached to it. I chased after it and I looked like a total crazy person, running after a robot in the middle of the street, yelling after it. I was trying to block it, get in its way, and it was trying to go around me. These private companies can come in and dump their technology in our communities, and there's no sense of accountability.
So I heard you say when Sue was describing this, you've seen this. I don't know if you saw it at CES, but that's kind of a fascinating story, isn't it?
No, I actually saw it when I was out visiting my family in California, rolling down the sidewalk while we were driving down Hollywood Boulevard.
That's crazy.
I've seen this exact robot. And boy, doesn't that tell so many stories. A, we are not there yet. Okay, we got a long way to go before these robots start walking around and doing stuff. Number one. Number two, there has got to be some oversight and regulation on what's being put out in the public, because that thing can roll over a kid. That thing doesn't know necessarily. Yeah. I mean, it pulled down a fence, for crying out loud.
I was thinking about, I should have thought of kids, but I'm seriously thinking about a cat. I have cats. I wonder if it rolls over one of my cat's tails. The cat gets sucked up in there.
Yes, it's crazy. I think we've got a long way to go. And then you throw artificial intelligence in there, and goodness knows where that goes. Look, we're about to experience the Waymo taxis here in St. Louis, and I want to be one of the first ones standing there on the sidewalk wanting to get into one of those things. But at the same time, I'm also a little nervous because look where we're at with robotics so far.
Well,
right? We're not there yet.
Yeah, so I was tempted to say, you know what, George, when that happens, you and I are going to do this. But I got a better idea. When that happens, you do it just the way that you said you were going to do it. I'll sit here in the studio and then see how that turns out.
I'll do it with you, George. We'll go for a ride.
Sue, you and I will go down. We can do it live on the air and drive down the Main Street, Market Street in a Waymo.
I would do it. Look, I was in self-driving mode in a Tesla, and this goes back to one of the original Teslas 6-7 years ago. I did not feel safe at that time, and it was very imperfect. However, as you've indicated every week, the technology has come a long way. Check out George's company at ThrottleNet.com/971. Always great to have you on for Tech Talk Tuesdays, and we'll talk next week. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Have a great week.
Audio cut of the day coming up.